How's it going? My name is Patrick Murphy-Racey. I'm one of the new Sony Artisan Associates, and I'm gonna do a little video today on the 3-axis image stabilization of the A7II. There's been lots and lots of talk about the 5-axis stabilization that you get when you use the proprietary Sony glass, but not as much has been said about manual focus glass. The entire Sony E-mount system is truly what Sony likes to call an open mount system. So many of us used different systems throughout our careers. Myself, I started in Canon, then I went to Nikon, then I went back to Canon, then I went to Nikon over a 23-year period of time. There's lots and lots of lenses out there that work extremely well on the open mount E-mount system that Sony has, and they're not made by Sony. And some of them predate Sony's involvement in still camera manufacturing by 20 years or more. So one of my favorite lenses I love to use on my A7II is the venerable FD Canon 200-2.8. Now this is not an L lens, but it is internal focus. And with a $15 adapter from eBay or Amazon or wherever you want to get stuff, I think I bought this lens for $175. It's in mint condition. It's like brand new in every way. The focus is buttery smooth, and I use it for both stills and video production as well. Now, the camera has, as I said, 5-axis image stabilization, but today what I want to talk about is the 3-axis, because you lose 2-axis of the 5 when you use a manual focus lens that's not made by Sony. So again, you can use any lens you want as long as there's an adapter available for it. So if you want to shoot old Olympus OM glass, if you want to shoot Nikon AI glass, whatever you want, as long as the adapter's out there, you can use it on an A7II, and you can use it in an image stabilized fashion with 3-axis movement. So what I'm going to do right now is just basically shoot a little bit of video, because video shows the stabilization a lot better than stills do. And so I'm just going to kind of go and pick a little tree limb out there, and I'm going to focus, and I'm going to just shoot a little bit of video so we can see just what the stabilization looks like. And so first I'm going to shoot. I'm going to brace myself on this post on the angle here, and I'm going to pick a tree limb. I'm going to get nice focus using the focus peaking feature. Now I'm going to settle down, get my breath under control, and I'm just going to sit on this tree limb for a bit, and I'm going to stop talking so we can get our maximum level of stabilization. Okay, now I'm going to shut off, and I'm going to go back in my menu, and I'm going to turn stabilization off so we can just see how good it is. And so turning it off now, I'm going to come back to that same tree limb. I'm going to try and be as steady as I can, still pushing on myself on the post. And there we go. I'm 200mm 2.8, and I'm going to stop talking again so I can get a maximum stabilization. Okay, now this works extremely well. Some of my favorite lenses that are out right now are made by Samyang in Korea. They relabel them as Rokinon and Boer and Vivitar Series 1 and Opteka or something like that. There's all kinds of them. But they make some really, really great manual focus, beautiful, buttery smooth helicoid lenses that are just like they had in 1970s, except they're brand new, and they have nano-coated optics. And these are fantastic lenses, not just used for video production, but for still photography on the A7 platform. So next I'm going to try the extreme. We're going to go way out there and get a little crazy with just see how good this 3-axis stabilization is on the A7II. All right, so now we've changed lenses, obviously. This one's a little bit bigger. This is a fairly ancient, early 90s Nikon 500 f4P. It was a really neat lens in its day. It was the first lens to have the P stand, I think, stand for processor, because it would allow you to have focus confirmation and full control of aperture through automated systems in the f4. That's going way back there in my career, but I remember it well. But this is a great lens. Part of the reason why it was so great is it was so small and so lightweight. Autofocus in lenses adds a lot of weight, and this is kind of the last modern, really wonderful ED lens that Nikon made that was extremely lightweight and small. It's a great birder lens. A lot of nature photographers that love to shoot birds and waterfowl and things like that, they love this lens. Even though there's a 6 and even an 8, this one's so much more portable and easy to backpack. It's easy to hike with, things like that. So it's long been a favorite of mine, but I haven't owned one in many, many years. But I was driving through Indianapolis just last week, and I stopped in to see my friends at Roberts Distributors, and they had one of these things that was so cheap I couldn't resist. And the trigger for me to buy this lens, other than I'm crazy and I love to have beautiful optics like this, the trigger was the A7II because of this 3-axis image stabilization. So what I'm going to do the same thing I just did with the 200-2.8 Canon FD lens. I'm going to go ahead and focus on that same piece of tree that's laying there, and I'm going to do it first without the image stabilization turned on. So I'm just going to get as steady as I can, and I'm going to shoot a little bit of video of that tree limb that I like so much. It's kind of covered with moss. It looks kind of cool. This, by the way, is about as close as I'll ever get to being a nature photographer. All right, I'm going to stop talking now, and I'm going to just settle down and just see how still I can get. Okay, and as still as that was, it's not nearly as still as it needs to be. So I'm going to go ahead and stop. I'm going to go back into steady shot, and now I'm going to set my, I'm setting for a 500mm lens off of the 200mm lens. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to turn steady shot on. And now we're going to see what the 3-axis stabilization does here. So I'm going to go ahead and start recording. Find nice focus. Good, that looks pretty sharp. And now I'm going to stop talking and try to get really, really steady. Now, obviously, when you look at the footage that I just shot, this is not ideal because it's a 500mm lens on a monopod. Now, most videographers will think you're out of your mind. But I can already tell you from what I saw in the viewfinder when I shot this, that it's easily enough to go in post-production and settle it down with, for instance, Adobe Premiere's warp stabilizer will take care of this, no problem. So I've already seen that this is a totally effective way to shoot. I mean, I could totally shoot this way, and I'm a football guy, and this is kind of what I'm hoping to do, is shoot some football with this getup here. All right, so I hope this video inspires you to kind of get cranking on eBay and look for some glass that you've always dreamed of, because I think you'll find it's a fraction of the cost it used to be when you drooled on it the first time. As I said, I picked up this lens from Roberts Distributors in Indianapolis for, I think it was $1,065, which is just insanely cheap. The 504 can be had pretty readily for about $1,500, $1,500 to $1,800. If you want a pristine, perfect copy, about $2,000, $2,500, something like that. There are many lenses out there that are incredible that everyone seems to have forgotten about. On the Olympus side, they made an amazing lens. It was a 250mm f2.0 that would be awesome. It's internal focus just like this. They also have a 350 2.8. On the Canon side, there's of course the 200-1.8 FD, which is pretty rare. That was right at the end, the tail end of their FD, but that same lens is available in EOS 2, which most of you are probably aware of. But their 300-2.8 FD is a fantastic lens. It's very small and compact. It was easily the smallest and lightest, I think, of those lenses available back in that time frame in the 80s and the 90s. And then they had a 400-2.8, which was a wonderful lens, great lens, kind of on the heavy side, but still much more compact and smallish than the normal, like, current 400-2.8s that are out there. On the Nikon side, they had everything. They had the 200 f2, they had the 300-2.8, if you got really deep pockets, and you could find one without the back of it cut off for movie making, the 300 f2. Then they had the 400-3.5, which is another fantastic lens, uber sharp, very, very fast. And you can buy those for under $1,000 on eBay. And then of course the 400-2.8, different vintages, the 500 here, and then the 600 f4, and the Mac Daddy of them all, which I've owned twice now, the 800mm 5.6 EDIF AIS. That's like one of my favorite lenses. I probably will buy it again. But anyway, I'm pretty excited about the A7II and how it's resurrecting all kinds of old glass that is extremely sharp. And maybe you will be tempted too to not just buy the old glass, but also think about, even if you're in a different system, you can kind of see how important this camera is, especially if you're shooting video. So I didn't do any still photography examples of the A7II with the 5. There's plenty of examples out there online already. I'm trying not to duplicate what's already there, but let me tell you, you can get away with murder with this thing. I guess the most important thing I want to get across in this video is that the Sony A platform is revolutionary. It's really, really changing everything. And it is not just resurrecting old lenses, but it's bringing new technologies. Because Sony and Zeiss in their partnership don't have to project light through and past a mirror box, and they can go directly onto the chip. It makes lens manufacturing and lens design much more efficient and easier. That's why the lenses are so much smaller. The A7 platform is an amazing development in still camera and videography. And they're not done yet. I mean, realize that this A7II came out just a tiny bit after 1 year of the release of the original A7, which is amazing. So they've created 4 different camera bodies on the same platform, each with its own specialty for a certain type of photographer or videographer. And certainly the A7II is the easiest way to put them both together, with a 24 megapixel chip, all this image stabilization, either on 5-axis with proprietary glass or even 3-axis with manual focus lenses. The ease at which it is to get the good audio, like I'm doing right now. This is being shot with an A7S, by the way, in a 55-1.8 Zeiss lens, all in autofocus. The camera's automatically doing everything, which is pretty cool. Anyway, I digress, but I hope that you've enjoyed this video and hope it's useful to you. Thanks.